In a shocking development on December 23, 2025, the Delhi High Court suspended the life sentence of expelled BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar, who was convicted in the infamous 2017 Unnao rape case involving the rape of a minor girl. The court's decision, based on technical grounds such as the inapplicability of certain provisions under the POCSO Act, has sparked widespread outrage and raised questions about investigative lapses by authorities like the CBI. Now, this ruling comes amid appeals from the survivor and the CBI to the Supreme Court, highlighting ongoing battles for justice in high profile cases such as this one. Against this backdrop, the Federal speaks to Kavita Srivastava, a prominent human rights activist and national president of the People's Union for Civil Liberties, PUCL, for insights into the systemic failures plaguing India's justice system for survivors of sexual violence. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. My first question to you on this is that in light of the Delhi High Court's decision to suspend Kuldeep Singh Sengar's sentence, what do you see as the most glaring systemic failures in our justice system when handling cases of sexual violence against women and especially minors?
Firstly, I must tell our readers I haven't exactly read the judgment of the Delhi High Court, the grounds on which the suspension of sentence has been undertaken, ordered by the Delhi High Court. But definitely, if we look at the conclusion, which is that he gets out of jail and he can stay where he wants to, except for a 5 kilometer kind of restraint that he has to keep from the girl's house in Delhi, the survivor's house in Delhi. I think it's very tragic, because let's look at the run up to the whole rape case. This young girl used to go to him in absolute trust. He was in her she was in his constituency, and he took advantage of her vulnerability and raped her. And the young girl was so bold, because the rape started when she was a child. She was so bold that she ultimately spoke out. Imagine, the FIR refuses to list Mr. Sengar. His name is not there, Mr. Kuldeep Sengar. This is what UP police does. This is what Unnao police does. His name is deleted by the police, though she completely states what happens to her. And then finally, when uh, when the investigation does reach him, the investigation also had to be shifted, imagine, to Delhi. And then what happens? She loses two aunts, her father's two sisters. She also her two of her father's sisters are killed in a road accident,
Yeah.
and the lawyer is also killed in a road accident. It's too much that these things just happen accidentally, that a truck comes and hits them. It very clearly showed that the accused, Mr. Sengar, and now convicted, was completely trying to make her so vulnerable, so completely out of support, that he took to killing. This is the lawlessness of UP. Was this the kind of protection that she got by the two police systems, both of UP and Delhi, that she loses her relatives and her lawyer? Now, with this backdrop, we must say we are glad that finally a Delhi court convicts Mr. Sengar, and he lives the cases of 2017. In 2019, he is sent to prison. In 2017, the conviction happens. Sorry.
Hmm.
In
Yes.
2018, he's sent to prison. In 2019, the conviction happens. Okay, it is 7 years since the person was inside the jail. But looking at the circumstance, looking at this man being centrally involved in these murders, how can the Delhi High Court just suspend a sentence? I really would like to ask that question. And I think the question of how has to be asked, because a political, a politically powerful BJP, that time he was a sitting MLA,
Yeah.
he is actually involved not just in the rape but also of trying to destroy evidence and and also killing three people,
Yeah.
doing them away with.
Right.
So is she not vulnerable today? He has just got the suspension of sentence because of his political affiliation to the BJP. I'm going to say that bluntly, because look at what has happened. I mean, there are so many. I work in prisons. If there is a life sentence, we've never seen people get out before 14, 15, 16 years, 13 years, 10 years. How come he gets the advantage of 7 years? We would like to ask that question. How come there is that kind of favoritism of the judiciary towards, you know, a
Yeah.
prisoner? And that also in a POXO case. The girl
Yeah.
was, under
17.
18 when this happened.
Mhm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, we are really outraged, we are shocked, and we are going to ask questions and we are going to speak out. There has to be an accountability of such,
Right.
such orders. And I'm very glad that the CBI has moved the Supreme Court, will be moving the Supreme Court, not yet moved, will be moving the Supreme Court. We are glad that they're planning to do it. And we really hope that this suspension of sentence stands cancelled. Otherwise, I think that girl is at high risk. We don't trust this man. We just don't trust him.
Right. Ma'am, like you mentioned that there are these reports of security lapses for the rape survivor and her family members, including the threats and violence that took place. So, how do these reflect broader issues when we talk about protecting survivors, and what kind of immediate reforms would you recommend to address this?
See, we still don't have in place, although it's written all over. It was in the Justice Verma report, it is
Mm.
there in different other law commission reports. uh, this protective mechanism that needs to be laid out for a survivor, really, I mean, how do you protect a survivor? That is really not in place, because does it mean that the person is going to get a personal security guard all the time? It doesn't mean that. Is that the nature of protection that we're asking for? Or are we asking for something else, like uh, you know the entire uh, mechanism of the police and the judiciary? you know they're just monitoring this whole case. When they're monitoring the threats that may occur. The trouble is that the police never takes threats seriously when it is against powerful people. The
Right.
protective mechanism, which has to be in the hands of police, uh, and that really does not exist in our country, because the police doesn't take it. I mean, they're unable to even do their own cases, uh, leave alone trying to look at, or monitoring people who who require protective kind of security cover. There
Mm.
is just no such thing, no scope, no space. Although it's all written up, it ought to be there.
Mm.
If we look at it in even a lot of Dalit survivor cases with such difficulty, women or a Dalit comes and speaks out against crime, and then many a times we've seen the unfortunate thing of their family members being killed or them. The point is that we will have to work at two, three levels. One is definitely a protective cover has to be provided in such matters. I wish the Delhi High Court, along with, if they had to give him this, if they had to suspend the sentence, had also looked a little towards the survivor and put in place a mechanism for her.
Right.
Secondly, uh, I really think that we will have to also shift a bit, shift our discourse.
Right.
Our jails are not just places to lock up people, they
Mm.
are actually, they're supposed to be rehabilitation homes, conservation homes, where their human rights are conserved. They're not the old time jail systems. They're supposed to do a lot of reform. They're called also reformatory spaces. They're supposed to be doing a lot of reform within the prisoner, but for that you need a different approach. You
Yeah.
don't have that kind of approach. You don't have sufficient staff in jails. You may have lots and lots of at the constabulary level, you may have a lot of jail staff, but they don't necessarily become the core part of a reformatory model. The reformation may happen with other kinds of skills, with other sets of people out there. Like, say for instance, in several states, when the police had, the DG police ends up with all the top positions in the
Mm.
jails, all the top position in jails ends up with police officers.
Right.
How can the police officer, which is an agency which is supposed to investigate, which is supposed to control law and order, how are they given the entire jail system? How can they be at the helm of the jail system? But the ADG jails, the IG jails on many occasions, the DG jails are all police officers. So reformation actually is a lost project, though we may call our prison system reformatory homes, but they're actually nowhere close to that. Nothing of that type happens. Neither does
Right.
anybody have the time, nor is there the approach, nor is there that kind of skilled staff. I mean, the counselors are not there. There are hardly, there may be a psychiatrist. The number of counselors that you need, you don't have. So,
Mm.
so obviously, uh, you have to work at all levels. You have to also work with the accused, with the person who's committed the crime. You've got to even be doing a lot of reformation. We cannot write of human beings um, simply
Yeah.
because they're human beings. We cannot write them off. And
Right.
therefore, the process of suspending a sentence after 7 years of a person having spent a life imprisonment sentence, the sentence
Right.
is life imprisonment. The
Yeah.
person has only spent 7 years. Uh, he has been such a serious threat to the rape survivor in the now matter,
Mm-hmm.
and you set him free without even a report showing anything about him, not even
Yeah.
looking at what were those processes that were undertaken. So the whole thing is so completely bizarre. It's full of, it's actually just a judgment that has happened. The order of suspension has happened because the person belongs to the ruling party, and it's
Yeah.
totally a decision that has come out because of his political affiliation.
Right.
The Delhi High Court had an opportunity to put in place not just protective mechanism, but also to have said certain other things. The person could have got parole. There are
Mm-hmm.
many uh, things even inside the jail,
Provision. Yeah.
instruments inside the jail.
Mm.
Person could have got parole. The parole could be 30 days, 60 days, 80 days. Maybe the person did get parole in the past.
Yeah.
Point
It's
the
said to
point
be.
is not about him running away. The point is about him using his clout and threatening the girl. We know of cases even after conviction, the accused the convicted reaches the girl who has testified and put so much pressure on the family that they've changed the sentence even then.
Mm.
And I mean, he's not trustworthy. So I really think that it's a bit too early.
Yeah.
You may turn around and say that I'm a carceral feminist, that I want a person in jail. In this case, I think it is important because the history of crime, as serious as murder, abetment to murder, or
Hmm.
which we and rape, how
Oh,
and raping a child, how can he be trusted? So the debate actually lies in uh, in what should be the nature of protective mechanism, what should
hmm.
be the nature of reform that is happening to prisoners, what should
Right.
be the other tools of the
Hmm.
prisoner getting home and coming out. Like in Rajasthan, we have something like the open jail. The
Hmm.
earlier it used to be after 10 years of being in prison, if you were a convicted prisoner, you would
Hmm.
be given space in the open jail and you could stay with your family and you could step out for work. Now they made it 13. So that's a very, very important mechanism, because the person has to be from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The person can be out working, but the rest of the time the person has to be inside the open prison, you know so they're called open camps. Actually, they're not
Right.
called prison is a misplaced term. So there were
Hmm.
many mechanisms that were in place. Even Delhi has it. I really think setting him free is a folly, and I just hope that nothing happens to the girl and her family. I mean, what were they left with? If something
Right.
like the Delhi High Court does this, what were they left with? They just
Right.
went to protest and then they were dragged and arrested and taken
Yeah.
away, humiliated and taken away. It's so upsetting. Is this the kind of justice Indian democracy is going to give our women? Is this the kind of justice our courts are going to give the women? It's
Right.
very depressing. It's very, very depressing. We're celebrating 75 years of a republic. But where do women stand? I really
Right.
think, this case has once again raised a lot of questions.
Right. Ma'am, you rightly mentioned that, when there are political affiliations, there is on the on one side there is a delay in getting justice, and then the justice is also derailed. At this, when we look at this, how do you think that what are the wider implications of this sentence suspension for women rights in India, particularly in terms of deterring future reports of sexual violence and fostering a culture of impunity? Because I'm not sure if many of already we see that such cases are underreported. So this is definitely going to be a bad example.
Yeah, I really, let's face it, that even today, uh, despite, let us examine the anti-rape movement since Mathura.
Hmm.
So the silence on rape, and then let us look at Bhavri Devi in the early 90s, 92.
Yeah.
And Bhavri's case was uh, a total process of breaking the silence of rape, and then there is a complete denial. You know that
Yeah.
no, 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 you're lying. No rape has happened, and Bhavri takes that as a challenge along with the rest of the collective and fights it.
Right.
So actually, the silence on rape, to a very large extent, a large number of women are speaking out because
Right.
they do want body autonomy. uh, the definition, look at Nirbhaya case, the definition of shame changed, because Nirbhaya did not say, every other woman or Indian films would say, I want to die. Nirbhaya said, I want to live. She wrote, when her mother went to meet her before her death,
Yeah.
she said, I want to
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
It's a contrast to what was the backdrop of a lot of women, because it was all about shame and honor. So, so actually, there has been, to a large extent, this breaking the silence on rape, and a lot of women are speaking out, and they're also willing to go through the entire tirade of investigation, trial, and the whole process of justice. They're willing to go, they subject themselves to it. When women come to us, we tell them, this is not easy, it'll take a very long time, you're prepared. We try to prepare them for that, and they said yes. They said no, we're going to fight till the end. They even tell us, okay, in 10 years at least I'll get justice, in 12 years at least I get justice.
Yeah.
The urge for justice, the quest for justice, because they because of this body violation, and the whole trauma that the women have been subjected to, so body mind violation. So I think that the resolve with which women are coming out, the resolve with which families are also supporting women, the resolve with which uh, some collectives are also standing with women,
Yeah. Yeah.
such judgments, such orders of suspension of sentence do demoralize
Definitely.
definitely the survivor.
Hmm.
Because what was the argument during Nirbhaya? That life sentence should mean life
Yeah.
until the person has breathed her last, breathed his last,
Yeah.
and it should not be reduced to 14 years. We said we are nowhere to judge, because
Mhm.
jail rules are very important. Ours is a reformatory system, it is not just lockup. We did not agree with this, that life imprisonment means till the last breath. No, you know
Mhm.
and left it to jail authorities also to make assessment.
Right. Hmm.
But in this case, uh, there was not an occasion, to make an assessment.
Hmm.
It was 7 years, against a life sentence.
Hmm.
Uh, and this happened, from 10 years it went to life imprisonment. I mean, of course, it's graded, it's 20 and more.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, it's a betrayal. It's a betrayal uh, of that whole, as I said, the resolve of the woman,
Yeah.
even the messaging that happens, that gets
Right. That goes
communicated.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, that the women are going to think that life can be reduced not just to 14. That time it was, hey, life gets reduced to 14, life gets reduced to 14. Okay, if it does get reduced to 14, we were not against it. But now it gets reduced to 7,
Yeah.
without any interim things like an open jail, or of course he didn't qualify for
Yeah.
an open.
Right.
I think the Delhi manual says 10 years. So, anyway,
Hmm.
so all I would like to say that this has been a very depressive weekend for many reasons, and one of them has been a depressing Christmas, a depressing um, onset of the new year, with such kind of depressing judgments coming from the judiciary. Actually, the judiciary is um, doing a greater setback to us. Look at what they've said
Right.
for the Aravalis, or
Yeah.
some other judgments that have come. So I
Right.
really think that the call is for the Indian judiciary to
Definitely.
rethink. Why is it being so brazenly, why is it showing brazen favoritism towards the ruling party?
Right.
Towards the
Yeah.
executive mind, towards a former MLA of the ruling party. Why? I mean, I really think it's extremely questionable.
Right. Ma'am, like you mentioned, that there is some sort of favoritism that we see in this particular case. Do you think there can be some strategies or campaigns that can be proposed to hold powerful figures accountable in cases of sexual violence?
See, uh, powerful, not powerful, doesn't really matter under the now it's the BNS and the BNSS. Earlier it was the IPC and the
Right.
CRPC. This case, of course, came under the IPC, CRPC, and the Indian Evidence Act of that period. Uh, there is nothing like, in our whole system. There's nothing like a VIP prisoner. Everybody is
Definitely.
equal. There's nothing like a political prisoner. There's nothing, there are no class systems, that there is a two class system in jail. No. In jail, everybody is equal. Yet we do find that flouted so many times.
Right.
Similarly, the judiciary that is supposed to ensure that the law is implemented in spirit,
Yeah.
through its platform.
Yeah.
uh, when they violate, you have to think of actually judicial accountability
Right.
also, because the executive may or may not make mistakes. The police of Unnao was completely protecting this man, completely protecting this man. But
Right.
uh, but the judiciary is there exactly to give a check and balance the wrongs of the executive.
Definitely.
Now, if the judiciary only changes its role, uh, and is not very strict about the implementation of the law, um, then we have to make it accountable.
Yeah.
Judicial accountability is a very, very important part. I think there's a lot wrong with our judiciary, and there has to be a comprehensive campaign to make it accountable, because it's not it doesn't show, um, it doesn't speak so much about being a fair judiciary, about being objective, about actually implementing the law. There are lots and lots of questions that we have. Increasingly, it is getting to be anti people, anti vulnerable, anti women, you know so we have to make the judiciary accountable. We are not going to let him go, and there should be a campaign, and I think there will be a campaign that will emerge.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for speaking with us.